Mr. Trump, it's Robert Helms from the Real Estate Guys radio program. Hey, a lot of the talk today was about how farmers are kind of in the doldrums and farmland is slow to move. What advice might you have for folks looking to acquire agricultural land right now?
Well, the farm market will be back, and it'll be back strong, and you do have the advantage of the low fuel cost, and that probably solves a lot of the problem. But it will be back, and just hang in. I say never ever quit, never give up. But these are great people. They don't know what the word quit means, but the farms will be back, and they'll be back very soon.
Sir, with the record high dollar and low oil prices we're seeing, do you see a tie between commodity prices and land values?
Well, they usually are, and you're getting hit here, but other places are also getting hit. And land is a commodity to a certain extent, and it seems to tie in pretty well with commodity and commodity prices. And it could very well be with what's happening with the dollar, and not so much what's going up with the dollar, but what's going down with other currencies, which are being artificially lowered by their governments in order to hurt the United States and in order to take business from the United States. That's having a big effect on Iowa land. There's no question about it. And we don't have anybody in office that knows how to protect this country, which is a big problem. That's both militarily and financially.
Next was an interesting question. The journalist asked Mr. Trump if he was a farmer, what he would raise.
Well, I don't think it would matter. I think I'd raise something. I'd probably study the situation. I'd try and do the best return on investment, but I'm not sure that's necessarily the thing. I'd do something that I love. I know farmers that want to do corn. That's what they want. I know farmers that want to do wheat. That's what they just want to do different things. So I'm not in that situation, but I do something that I enjoy. You have to do, and these are people that like corn, they like wheat, that's what they want to do. Maybe you get into it, but I would find something that I like to do. If you don't love it, you're not going to be successful at it.
Mr. Trump, you're here in Iowa. There's obviously a lot going on in the political world right now, and there's some talk of you running for president again. Why would this be the time for you to run?
Well, I feel more strongly now than I ever have. My own life is at a point now where I would be much more able to do it. As I said, I was doing a tremendous amount of deals all over the world. They're completed. They're very, very successful. And now I have children that are old enough to really do things that, frankly, they weren't at that time. And they'll be fantastic. And I'm just at a point now where actually, the equal time rule, so The Apprentice, as you know, is doing very, very well. So well that they just extended for 2 more shows, which is, I've never even heard of anyone doing that, where they actually said the run, it was supposed to end in 2 weeks, and now they've actually added 2 more shows, which I have never heard of. I'm sure perhaps it's been done. But when that's over, I'm a free agent. I don't have a contractual obligation, which last time I had. The bigger problem was all of the things that I was doing. And I also thought Mitt Romney should win. And I didn't feel he was going to be a strong candidate, but I thought he'd be strong enough to beat a president that was very, very weak and doing a terrible job, and he was unable to do it. People see me as being a very competent person that knows how to get things done. I mean, that's been my career. I've had great success. I've made many, many billions of dollars, and I'd like to maybe put that knowledge to work for the country. Because, unless you're going to put the country back on a sound financial footing, this country is in serious trouble. But we are very, very strongly considering it. And the polls were right up until, and I will say every candidate came to my office, virtually every candidate came to my office asking me for my support. And it was, a pretty disappointing ending with what happened to Romney.
The next question had to do with how much of the campaign, if Trump decided to run, would be self-funded.
I would self-fund. I don't need money. So that's an advantage I have. So if somebody wants to contribute, I would never turn them down. I never turn down money. But I would self-fund. We have a tremendous company with tremendous cash and cash flows, and we would self-fund.
Mr. Trump, you're obviously not a politician, but if you put your hat in the ring, what fundamentals would you change if you were elected?
Well, I'd do a lot of things initially, so many of equal importance. I would absolutely repeal and replace Obamacare with a much better health plan, and frankly, a plan that would cost less money for the people and would cost less money for the country, a lot less money. And there are plans that could be much, much better, and everybody could be served. But there are plans that would be much better. Obamacare really kicks in 16. It is going to be a catastrophe. Now, already many, many doctors are leaving the business. You're losing doctors left and right because they need more accountants than they have patients because of the complexity of it. But you have a basic problem. The cost is so enormous. And these are people, in many cases, that had health plans that they love. The cost is so enormous, and the deductibles are so high that people are just very, very discouraged and very saddened by what's going on. So I would do that as one thing. I would repeal and I would replace with something far better. And you can do it, and it will be just so much better, not only for the country, for the government, but for the people. I would make sure that China and other countries stop ripping us off. They are treating us like a very, very stupid group of people. They have no respect for our leaders. They have no respect for our abilities. They laugh at us behind. I do a lot of business with China. I made a lot of money with China. I made a tremendous amount of money. On one deal alone, I made well over, just a fortune with China, dealing with Chinese people. I have a lot of friends in China. They can't believe what they're getting away with. And that goes for many other countries. So I would stop the ripoff of the United States by virtually every country that we do business with. And I'd certainly build up our military.
Mr. Trump, we're kind of excited about having a real estate guy in the White House, but let's face it, the White House is an old building. What would you do if you actually ended up in the White House?
Well, it's sort of cute because I'm building a building that's so incredible, almost right across the street from the White House. But look, the White House is such a cherished and important building, and it's the ideas that have to come out of the White House that are most important, not the physical structure itself. It's the ideas coming out of the White House. We're in trouble as a country, and we're going to be in far deeper trouble. And if you look at the kind of projections for the next 2 years after this year, we have a very structural situation going on that after this year, 16, 17, 18, the numbers are going to be horrendous. And somebody's got to fix it, and they've got to fix it fast. It's a structural problem.
And to wrap it up, it was time to let Russell Gray ask a great question.
Mr. Trump?
Yes, sir.
Russell Gray, the Real Estate Guys radio show. You've been through several market cycles as a real estate investor,
right,
up and down.
And you'll always have that.
Yeah. What did you learn at the bottom, most valuable lesson? What did you learn at the top, most valuable lesson? Where are we today? And then how does that experience translate into running the country?
Well, the lessons I learned at the bottom of a real estate cycle is you have to hang in there. You know, when the market crashed, and it was much worse than it is now, when the market in 1990 crashed, so many of my friends were going bankrupt. I never went bankrupt, by the way, but so many people were just going out of business. And I came up with an expression, survive till 95. This was around 1990. And one of the things I learned, you have to hang in. And you have to deal, and you have to wheel, and you have to do everything necessary. You have to hang in there because the market will go up eventually. It will go up, and that's what happened, and it became great. And today my company is a very powerful, very strong company, and it's far stronger than it ever was in the past. So that happens. On the top, you know, you learn less on the top, to be honest with you, because the top takes care of itself. The top, when the markets are good in real estate, you know, takes care of every problem you can think of. And so you don't learn so much at the top. But I would say that what I've learned through the whole series of cycles, because real estate is all about cycles, so is the farm business and land. But one of the things I've learned is be somewhat conservative, because bad times will come. No matter what you do, bad times will come. And when those bad times come, if you have cash and if you're really liquid, where the banks can't, there was a time in 1990 where the banks had no money. They're all going out of business. And if you remain liquid and strong and smart, you can buy up the world. So remain very liquid and remain conservative, and lots of good things can happen. Now, you'll learn that as you get older. As a younger person, you know, that doesn't make sense, but you'll learn that as you get older. And that's what I've learned. But you learn much more at the bottom than you do at the top. The top is really easy.
All right, so those questions were all answered by Mr. Trump in late January. Just last week, we had a chance to be in a press conference with Donald Trump as part of Freedom Fest, and while most of the questions centered around immigration, again, Russell Gray stepped up to the mic.
Mr. Trump, Russell Gray, the Real Estate Guys radio show. I'm going to switch it to housing. Millions of people lost their homes in the last financial crisis. A lot of people think that was driven by Fed policy leading up to it, and then just the way the whole housing system has worked with the government involvement. What does a healthy housing
Seems like
policy
such a
look like?
mundane question right now. I love the guy. He's a real estate guy. Owning the home was the American dream. It became the American nightmare. But we'll make it back, honestly, back to the American dream. Owning the home is so important. It's really a good question. And it's a very complicated question, but it's a great question. Thank you.